Welcome to Vegas Showbiz. We hope you enjoy our review of Magic Reinvented Nightly by Mat Franco in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel.
Hey, what's up everyone? We're back. Thank you for sticking with us. We saw the show, Magic Reinvented Nightly by Mat Franco, and we're going to compare it to Shin Lim. We've got a couple reasons to compare it to Limitless by Shin Lim, but first we want to give it its due, and we're just going to review the show as is. Before we even get into that, I do have to say every show that we go to has its own phone and camera policy. We always follow the rules. We would never disrespect the performers by breaking those rules. In this case, no photos, no videos allowed whatsoever. So if you're looking for video footage of Mat Franco performing in Las Vegas, I'm sorry we cannot provide that to you, but we will give you our honest opinions. This isn't a promoted activity. We bought the tickets with our own money and we're excited to review the show for you. So let's jump right in. Mat Franco, world-class magician, first time seeing him. I've never watched him on America's Got Talent either, so what did you think?
There's something very likable about him. He's from Rhode Island, he told us. He gave a little bit of background about him and his family, but something about him, the whole show, I really liked him. Mm-hmm. He's like a hometown kid somehow.
He's the kid next door.
Totally. Great smile, really charismatic, but humble too. And the whole show, I just kept thinking like, man, he's so likable. He's funny, he's engaging, but it's that humbleness, I think, on the bottom that I really stuck to, that I really liked. Overall, his tricks they're not super, I guess I shouldn't say they're not new. His tricks themselves are pretty old. I think like most of his tricks have been done before, but he does tend to give them their own twist, if you will. There's one where he does a card trick, like covered up. He's literally looks like a ghost.
Yeah, he's got a sheet over him.
A dark sheet over his whole
sheet.
body, and you just see his hands. And so he does the trick essentially blind, if you will. And that was really cool. He slows a lot of his tricks down and does them in slow-mo. So as to show you like he's not doing sleight of hand, or he's not trying to trick you in that sense. Those were fascinating. Go ahead.
One thing that I really enjoyed about Mat's show was that, I remember being a kid and having like a magic set, and one of the staples in every magic set back in the day, probably still, are the 3 little cups with the little balls that go in those. And this is one example of how Mat took a classic magic trick and was able to reinvent it, hence the name of his show, for us on the spot there, and putting his own twist on it. I don't want to say, how he does at the end what he does with those, but it's taking something we're familiar with and putting a new spin on it. Another example of that could be the whole handkerchief and the egg thing, and he was actually breaking down for you how that trick classically would work, kind of giving you like a behind the scenes look, but then you don't realize it, and he has this whole other thing that he does that blew me away with it, that again, classic trick, put his own spin on it, was really cool and memorable in my opinion.
One thing to say about Mat's show is it's just Mat. I mean, his crew, which he does give some applause to throughout the show, helps a bit, but it's just him. And he really carries the whole show, and he does it well. Like I didn't feel like he needed an assistant or somebody else to break up the show with humor or any of that. He does it all.
He carries it the whole way. I
Right.
mean, obviously this is somebody who has dedicated their life to magic, and much of the storyline of the show goes back to his childhood and rehearsing, and you see a lot of that stuff. But in addition to world-class magic that you're seeing, this guy is a great comedian. One of my judges for a comedian, it's not just the ability to tell a joke or time a punchline, but it's their ability to interact with the crowd and make an audience laugh just on the spot like that, quick, you know, and he was really able to do that. He was so sharp and funny and interactive. He really took the crowd interaction to the next level for me.
Right, and on that note, he also went throughout the crowd a lot.
Right.
He, just like most magic shows, took volunteers from the crowd, but I mean, he took volunteers from the front row, volunteers from the back row, volunteers all throughout the middle rows. He was all over the place, and I always appreciate that because we can't all sit in the front seat.
And at one point, I mean, he was literally so close to us, I could just touch him right here. I mean, we must have been on camera for part of that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, and he was there for a while.
A while, yeah. It must have been
pretty
several
cool.
minutes. It was crazy. That was fun.
But that was a traveling trick, though, too.
Right.
It wouldn't have ended up at the same spot every night, so it doesn't really matter where you're sitting.
So I want to get into our comparisons with Shin Lim as well. I think there are some natural reasons to make the comparisons. I mean, both of these guys are previous winners on America's Got Talent. Spoiler alert, I'm sorry if you didn't already know. But you know, they're kind of that new school of Vegas magician. Matt did mention last night that he's been there for 6 years now, and that's actually longer than I realized, but they also just got a new 5-year deal. So he's not going anywhere, and if you're hoping to see him in Las Vegas, you're gonna have the ability to do so. Beyond that, I mean, these guys are working right across the street from each other. They do have some similar sleight of hand type of magic. Shin Lim is very much known for his card tricks and his sleight of hand. Matt was able to do a lot of the same stuff. I'm not a connoisseur of magicians to know who's like way better. My gut instinct is to say that maybe Shin Lim is a little bit better at the sleight of hand stuff, but that Matt is a little bit more well-rounded in doing a variety of different types of tricks. I mean, we don't want to give them all away, but having seen both shows, it's more of like a mysterious sleight of hand type of experience with Shin, whereas Matt's is a little bit more jovial and crowd interaction and fun, but also like, oh my, what did I just see? Like, I can't believe he just did that. So I don't know, that's a little bit how the performances differ for me. What do you think about the comparison?
No, I would agree. There were several times in Matt's show that you don't realize you're being tricked. Like you said,
Right.
He's breaking down this old trick, but he's also in creating a new one in the process. And several times I just kind of sat there. I'm sure I looked just in awe because you really can't figure out what's going on. And I mean, that's what makes a good magic show, in my opinion. I don't care how they do it.
Yeah.
Just that they blew my mind that when they did it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do think if we're comparing shows, my favorite of the two, I have to give the upper hand to Matt. I really thoroughly enjoyed the other show, but something about Matt was the overall picture for me. I also kind of, I think it's worthy to mention the theaters themselves. The Mat Franco Theater, I mean, he has his own theater, which is pretty cool.
At the Linq, yeah.
Was cool. It's not your standard seating. There's different heights of seating, different levels of seating. I kind of liked that. It was different. And lots of table seating, too.
Table seating, yeah.
Which is nice for a show like that.
Mirage Theater, where Shin Lim plays, is a little bit more classic. It's classy, it's nice, but it's all just kind of monotonous, like one level kind of.
It's an old theater with velvet seats. I mean, it's
right.
fine. This one was just different. It was a little bit more industrial.
Right.
It felt smaller. I don't know that it is. It felt smaller.
I don't know. Yeah, that's hard to say. I'm not sure about counts. One thing I want to call out, I've had the chance to see 3 magic shows this year now in 2022. I saw The Mentalist with my son Enzo in January. February, we saw Shin Lim. Now we saw Mat Franco as well. All 3 of these shows have incorporated numerology, number magic. There's been interesting things in each of them. I don't know if this is a hot trend or what, but like where at some point during the show, they are able to recreate numbers that are specifically related to things that are going on in your show. It could be the date, it could be the number of people that are in the audience.
The time.
Yeah, exactly. And all 3 of them have incorporated where you're like, how is this possible? And that ends up being part of Mat Franco's Magic Reinvented Nightly, because he's telling a story to you whether you realize it or not, and he kind of puts it more together at the end. And that story is unique for every night, because there's no way that all these unique things would happen again in the same order.
Right.
So that was kind of a fun like meaning to it all, and I've been seeing this pattern in magic in Vegas lately.
Right, and that actually is also fair to say that because Matt does that, like, I could go to that one again.
Exactly.
I could feel comfortable taking the kids to that one next time and not feel like I've already seen the show.
Right, and I'm sure that's crossed their minds as well.
Of course, why they do
Keeps it fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was great.
So.
Well, I don't know. I mean, as far as the comparison goes, you're going to get world-class entertainment either way. We had an absolute blast. I mean, I can't recommend either show enough, but this one's about Mat Franco, and I think Jessica's probably right, just due to the fact that this guy is the one-man show. He does not need the support. He's able to carry the entire thing. He's funny, he's quick, and the magic is world-class. There's a wide variety of that magic, of the types of tricks that you're seeing. I absolutely loved it. I want to go again. I want to take the kids. It's just a world-class show, and if you're able to see it, he's going to be here for several more years. We don't know what the future for Shin Lim is, so that's kind of an argument to maybe go and see that. It's also worth calling out the Shin Lim tickets cost more. It is what it is. We paid less to see Matt, and kind of maybe like the show just a little bit more, but respect both of them a ton. Tonight was about Matt, and we loved it, and we're glad we went.
Definitely. So he'll be there for at least another 5 years.
There you go. So you've got a chance. No excuses. You got to go see the show if you want to see a great show in Vegas. So anyway, if you're enjoying our content, please help us out by hitting that subscribe button. If you want to know when we drop new videos, which is very regularly, hit the notification icon as well. We enjoy having you here. We look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.
Thank you for watching this Vegas Showbiz production. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Goodbye.